Considering it's my
Ma'am,
dog's name, yeah.
Seth
Sir.
Rollins, Mr. Money in the Bank. Do we hate it? Do we love it? Let's talk about it.
Let me tell you right now, ain't nobody in this room hating on Seth Rollins being Mr. Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
The internet, however, is full of idiots that don't actually understand wrestling. Y'all are fools if you think that this was the wrong call. Let me tell you right now. I understand that Seth Rollins is a made man. But when was the last time he held a world title? When was the last time he was in a proper title contention? He has been in a blood feud with CM Punk. He's been in a blood feud with Roman Reigns. He's been in a blood feud with Cody Rhodes. He's been in a blood feud with The Rock. This man has been carrying this company on his back, and what does he get for it? Nothing. This man has brought together an incredible group of incredible talent with the greatest manager of all time, with the biggest rising star in the company today, and with the power and the man that absolutely decimated him all together. What this man needed more than anything was success, and he was successful in not only qualifying for this match, but winning this match. Seth Rollins as Mr. Money in the Bank legitimizes his group moving forward, and it brings extra eyes to the product, to his group, and now it does him the biggest favor in the world, where he doesn't have to lift a finger, and he can just let his cronies do all of his dirty work. Coming out of this, all I can hope and pray for is that they finally get a damn name. August, you have the floor.
The gold and the bronze, baby. That's the name. The gold. Seth Rollins. The bronze. The bronze. You're welcome. Hashtag trademark pending. Who else was going to win this match? I don't know why people are so upset at this. You need to make new stars, they say. And then when they make new stars, it's... this is bullshit. You need to push CM Punk. You need to push Sami Zayn. You need to... It's the fickle internet wrestling community. Seth Rollins makes perfect sense as this match winner. You can't always go with a surprise for a win. Sometimes you need to do things that make sense. Sometimes it's, well, this guy is probably going to win this match because it makes sense. And then, that guy wins the match because it makes sense. Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank briefcase is dangerous. And now all champions are put on notice. And not only that, it is so exciting because people have been salivating at the idea of Seth Rollins versus Gunther for the world title. Seth Rollins versus Jey Uso for the title would have been amazing, and it could still technically happen. There are so many possibilities, and that's just the World Championship. And now you look over at the WWE Championship, and now you have CM Punk, now you have John Cena. The names are all... Seth Rollins is the perfect contender for almost every single one of them, and could be the missing link connecting John Cena back to his face ties as a character. It could be the transition that Cena needs to go back to the good side. Rollins with the briefcase is damn near perfection. I am really happy they gave this to him because this is an accolade late stage in his career that he really, really needed. I don't... So many people are upset that they're not pushing new stars right now, and I get it. Because you have Chad Gable in the match. You have Andrade in the match. You have LA Knight in the match.
Yeah!
First off, Seth Rollins is younger than LA Knight, so that's kind of crazy. Second off, the other guys I also listed are not that much younger than Seth Rollins. In fact, Chad Gable is either the same age... It's very close. It's very close. It's just one of those things where... He has now aligned himself with his group of younger stars in Bronson Reed and with Braun Breaker. And whatever Seth does is going to benefit these two stars. If this was Seth Rollins from 6 months ago when you were saying he doesn't need this accolade, I would still have an argument against you for it, but it's not nearly as strong. Because everything they do for Seth Rollins here is building him up, so when the turn happens... And Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, whichever it's both of them, whether it's one of them, when that star turns around and is now face-to-face with Seth Rollins, it is multiple-time world champion, 2-time Money in the Bank holder, the man who is currently holding the world title or the WWE title. That is the man they're staring down now, and not, well, this guy was important a couple years ago. Like at WrestleMania 40, he had a championship, but he lost it. You need to reestablish that this is Seth fucking Rollins, and not just the old Seth Rollins, not just the Mr. Show Up, steal the show, and perform better than anybody else, and the fighting champion. This is Seth Rollins who pulls out all the stops, is not afraid to cut corners, is not afraid to show people like, hey, I will do whatever it takes to win, and not just dig deeper and have heart. Fuck you guys, I'm done doing that. Roman took the shortcuts for 5 years, and he's the biggest star of all time. I'm going to do the same, you sons of bitches. And we're going to see who the bigger star is. I love this evolution for Seth's character, and this Money in the Bank briefcase could not fit him better right now. Yeah, arguably the only person. Yeah, arguably the only person I would like to see with the briefcase more is CM Punk, just because of. I would still like to see Seth Rollins in the world title picture, but CM Punk holding the briefcase, especially with Cena, but they've already transitioned into that without the briefcase, which I think is the big point, Destiny, that we do need to address, is people saying, he is Seth Rollins. The reason why it's wasted is because at any point in time, he could just go, I want a title shot, and earn the title shot. And this is the problem that I brought up to you leading up to the King of the Ring. Maybe I didn't bring it up. I either brought it up to you during our last talk, or I brought it up on the live stream. But I mentioned the big issue with King of the Ring is they're going to have this big tournament, and the winner gets a title shot at SummerSlam. That's really cool. That's awesome. The problem is CM Punk just walked out on Raw, challenged John Cena, and now CM Punk has a title shot, and he doesn't have to do a 32-man tournament. So when you have moments like this, they need to make sense, and this is the only issue with Seth Rollins, is he literally just had a title shot not even a month ago against Jey Uso by having Paul Heyman come out and go, Seth Rollins wants a title shot, he deserves one, okay, and then Seth Rollins lost in that match. He essentially got, it was a small finish, but what are your thoughts on that?
Now, I have to agree with you, especially because Seth did the exact same thing that you were talking about, that Punk did, where it's almost for one championship, all you have to do is show up and ask. And the other one, you have to go through, you have to run a whole gauntlet, you have to go through a whole tournament, you have to do leaps and bounds to get a title shot. That's all fine and dandy. What I want to talk about is how Seth Rollins being Mr. Money in the Bank legitimizes the Money in the Bank contract, the Money in the Bank briefcase, and the title of Mr. Money in the Bank in a way that we have not seen in years, with the exception of Damian Priest, obviously. But we've had so many unsuccessful cash-ins, so many forgettable runs as Mr. Money in the Bank, so many not necessarily undeserving stars, but so many people have held Money in the Bank contract recently, especially on the men's side, that are just forgettable. And what I had previously talked about is that the number one thing that the Money in the Bank briefcase needs is a good mouthpiece. And you have that in Seth Rollins. You have that also in his manager right now, Paul Heyman, the greatest of all time. So having that with them is going to help elevate the status of the Money in the Bank contract, because last year it was unsuccessfully cashed in by Drew McIntyre. The year before was, of course, Damian Priest, which was wonderful, but also recently we've had Otis/The Miz, we've had Austin Theory unsuccessfully cash in, and we've had all of these forgettable runs. And it's unfortunate, but I'm really excited to see Seth do what he does best and do what he did last time, have a lengthy run with the briefcase, be a hellish Mr. Money in the Bank, breathing down the neck of the champions, and just being able to do what he does best, and that is poke the bear that is the rest of the roster. I also think that it is absolutely brilliant that he has history on both sides, because he has the history with Jey Uso. They've been talking and teasing about him and Gunther, but you also have the history with him and Cena. So whichever way you go about this, I'm excited for it. Something I did want to mention, and this is something that I've been thinking about since before Money in the Bank, so it makes less sense with Rollins. It would have made more sense with a different Money in the Bank title holder. But Hypothetically speaking, John Cena is still the WWE champion in his final match at Saturday night's main event in December. John Cena is victorious in that match. And John Cena takes the title and is about to take it home with him in his final match and retire as champion when, in my brain at the time, a babyface like an LA Knight would come out, beat Cena, and save wrestling, and that would elevate, in my eyes, should have been an LA Knight to the next level, that would make him the top star in the company, that would elevate his career like crazy. He just beat the greatest of all time. He just beat the 17-time. The in your words, well, in the announcer's words, but you pointed it out on your stream, the never seen 17. How good is that? You just beat the greatest of all time and you saved wrestling. How beautiful of a story that would have been for a Mr. Money in the Bank.
Now,
just saying, missed opportunity, but that's okay.
But I will give you the flip on that. Who other than Seth Rollins would love to see his championship, the Workman's Championship, not the Hulk Hogan Championship, but the Dusty Rhodes Championship, become the sole championship of WWE? So for Seth Rollins, that could still very well be the, okay, I would love Cena to walk out the door with that title, because that means this right here, I only have one man to cash in on, and then I'm at the top of the mountain unchallenged. I am Roman Reigns. There's only one world champion, and that's me. So Seth almost wants Cena to walk out the door with the other belt. And so that's a really interesting aspect I hadn't even considered, of the fact that Seth birthed the world championship in the modern day. This is Seth's championship. He was the first ever champion. He held it for 316 days as a fighting champion before finally losing it, and he's been missing that gold ever since. I will also say every men's Money in the Bank cash-in since the creation of the World Championship has been on the World Championship. Nobody has cashed in on the WWE Championship since the creation of the World Championship. Damian Priest was the first. Then there was Drew McIntyre, and now it is Seth Rollins, yes?
Randy Orton cashed in on the WWE Championship against Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam.
Ma'am, I'm talking about 2022, 2023 when they introduced the World Championship.
Oh, since then. Okay, yes. Okay. Sorry, I thought you meant...
No, not the 2002 version, which was reinstated by Triple H.
I'm not here. Yes.
Since Seth Rollins has reintroduced this championship, it has been cashed in on...
Okay.
Twice? I think twice. Yes, twice. And a third time being the charm is really helping establish this championship as one of the top titles. People have treated this title as a joke. It was the secondary title, right? It's awarded to the guys, all the guys that Roman beat. Except the fact that I'm the only one I have ever seen point out the fact he didn't fucking beat Seth Rollins. They didn't even bring it up in the WrestleMania feud. Seth was the one guy who beat Roman. Roman had to get himself disqualified to get out of the match. And Seth walked away the winner. And that was the man who won the world title. So when Roman was like, oh, yeah, you got the second place title of all the guys who I beat. Fuck you, Roman. You didn't beat Seth. But enough about that, I digress. Yeah. Seth looks great with this title. It looks great with this briefcase, sorry. It's going to look better with the title, but... genius way to reestablish the Money in the Bank contract as an actual force to be reckoned with. And not just a quick gimmick. Please, dear God, I hope not.
I want to see a lengthy run, and I want to see a monumental run. I want to see him make Money in the Bank mean something again. Okay, I have a question. I'm blanking on so much. So I feel like on your watch-along stream, you mentioned that 6 men have cashed in unsuccessfully. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Because I can only think of 4. John Cena, Damien Sandow, I almost said Damien Priest, Austin Theory, and Drew McIntyre. That's 4. Who would the other 2 be?
Well, let me double check. who has failed.
As obviously, we do have the two. We have the two failures in
Baron Corbin,
Kennedy. Ah!
Braun Strowman. Monster in the Bank.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, the most controversial one.
God.
As when he won, everybody said, this is the stupidest decision ever. Of course he's going to win his cash-in. He's so overpowered. And then he failed this. He pre-announced it, and that was the infamous... I believe that was the infamous Hell in a Cell. He announced it ahead of time. Chose to fight Roman, if I'm not mistaken. And then that match was a no contest. Was thrown out. Or was a disqualification. It was a funky finish, and it was a year before the Seth Rollins Fiend thing. So when the Seth Rollins Fiend Hell in a Cell happened, it was essentially a rerun of the year prior, which is why people were even more pissed that they ended 2 Hell in a Cell matches the same way within a year.
I completely forgot about Braun Strowman being Mr. Money in the Bank.
Monster.
I don't know how I forgot Baron. I don't know how I forgot Baron Corbin. Yeah. Okay. Question, because my brain is blanking. Brock Lesnar cashed in on who?
Seth Rollins.
Was it Roman? Oh my god!
Yeah.
Irony!
It was the Seth Rollins. Ironically, when they did the big stare down and it was Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and Kofi Kingston were the champions, Brock ended up ending both of those championship reigns. He cashed in on Seth in the lead up to SummerSlam, and Seth won the title back at SummerSlam, and then Brock, ironically, in the same vein of what we're talking about, said, well, screw a Money in the Bank contract. I just want another title match. WWE was like, sure. They gave him Kofi at I believe it was the Fox debut of SmackDown. And, and Kofi got squashed in like 8 seconds and lost his title. And that's how we ended Kofi Mania.
Dear God.
Dear God. But Seth Rollins, we wish you the best here, sir. Big fans of you. Big fans, and we are excited to get to see what you do next as a two-time Mr. Money in the Bank.